All right, welcome back. This is the TOR Rezcovery podcast, episode four.
Wow.
I'd like to go around the room. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Darian Chabata, the TOR director.
I'm Domingo Whiteman. I'm an alcoholic. I'm Cheyenne. I'm the TOR prevention specialist.
I can't really disclose my name right now because I'm in the witness protection program. Are you buzzing me out? No. My name's Shane Willimon. Glad to be here.
Welcome, Shane.
Carmelo Revelis, TOR case manager.
And I am Barry Botone. I'm the peer recovery support specialist for the Tribal Opioid Response Project. Today, we are here with Shine Rapo Productions. Thank you. Big shout out to Hawk and the staff around here. It really helps us out for them to let us get involved with getting the word out there about what we do. I think it's very important. We did our live this morning. I had Shane on. That was amazing. We've had some big events happen this past weekend, and I like to also bring up that we were on Fox 25 this morning. That's huge. Bringing more awareness to what we do. Maybe it reaches the right people is what I'm always worried about. A lot of people from the tribe, like around here in Concho, they know what we do. But, there are a group of people that suffer in silence, and that's the crowd that we're trying to reach. Trying to use all these different platforms, trying to use all these different ways to reach out to people to let them know that there is help available. Oh, I just bumped my mic. But, would you, Darian, like to speak about what we've been doing lately? And
it's been a lot. So we rolled out our college safe boxes, which is just a way to get our usual harm reduction supplies into people's hands that are, at risk from experimenting with substances or intimate contact or anything like that. And so we did that, snag bags, which are all just anonymous mail order systems, and we've distributed a lot in 3-4 weeks. We've gotten a little bit over 200 orders. So that's, 2,000 fentanyl test kits. That's 200 plus Narcan. It's almost 300 HIV test kits. So, we've been, been busy packing orders. We're pretty much now our own post office, it seems like. And then we started our All Nations Rezcovery Gourd Clan. And so with Barry as head man dancer at the Labor Day Benefit Powwow on the 27th, we had a huge turnout. Shane was even there. He started. That's when it became All Nations. And so that's just, a little bit of what we've done this past month. And then, in a few days, or I guess a week and a half, we have our Communities Care event in Watonga, which is a town-wide event addressing substance use in the communities. And we have about 40 programs that are going to come out there just to show support and provide resources to everybody out there. And then later that day, we're actually going to be co-hosting a Department of Health powwow in Canton. And so, All Nations Rezcovery will be there, rattling out.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. Those are huge things that we've been doing. And it seems that the Rezcovery Gourd Clan, we're going to be busy.
Yep.
Definitely going to be busy. Been asked to come out to a couple of other powwows, or benefit dances, and that's what we're there for. We want to get the word out about what we do as a group. So if you know anybody that maybe you just support somebody in recovery, or you are in recovery, or you're trying to look for a way to get back to your culture. There's a lot of healing that goes on inside that circle. A lot of good feelings that are happening at benefit dances, at powwows, all these different gatherings. It seems that our elders and our customs, our culture, it involves a lot of healing. So I think that's very important that, we get the word out there about what we're trying to do. Domingo, would you like to share the meditation this morning?
Yeah. Well, today's February 1st, so we made it through January. So today's meditation is coming from Rolling Thunder. He is Cherokee. So Wado. OCO. You can't just sit down and talk about the truth. It doesn't work that way. You have to live it, be part of it, and you get to know it. And that was from Rolling Thunder, Cherokee. Today's meditation is, we all read books that have much information in them. Often we pick up on little sayings that we remember. Inside of us is the little owl, the owl of knowing. It talks to us, guiding us, nurturing us. Often when we get information, it's hard to live by, but it's easy to talk about it. It's living the red road that counts. Walk the talk. If we really want freedom in our lives, if we really want to be happy, if we really want to have peace of mind, it's the truth we must seek.
Wado.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I guess if they're comparing the truth to that little owl, yeah, I was scared of it.
I've heard that, yeah.
And my truth is, I'm absent in like all phases of my life when I'm using drugs and alcohol. Don't expect any great decisions coming out of me if I'm drinking or using drugs. And I understand that now. But the growing process, the pain in that growing process, realizing where my life kept ending up and what kept happening over and over and over and over, and I just didn't understand how this thing had taken over my life. But being able to, get into my big book and read it with a good sponsor, I've been able to recognize these things. I've been able to have a peace of mind, and that's been huge in my recovery. I don't just feel like there's something wrong with, I know there's something wrong. I have a sickness. But as long as I realize that and recognize that, then it kind of, that growing process takes on a whole other meaning. I'm aware now. I've been told, I don't get to use the excuse that I don't know anymore. I've been educated. I've been shown. I see these other people around me, and I do what they do, and that's been huge for me. But when it comes down to it, I just got honest about my situation. I had a 10-ring circus going on whenever I was lying, whenever I was in my addiction. Man, I told all these lies, and it was so hard to remember all of them. And that was just the life that I created for myself. Because if one person knew the truth, how much I was suffering, I don't think I would have even, I didn't want them looking at me in a different light, that, I'm not having a good time. I'm not enjoying myself. Because that was the easy part to paint my life as. Is that this lie can go on and on and on till I'm in my grave. That's how sick I was. Is that I'm willing to live this lie. I'm willing to find an excuse for everything that I do and justify everything that I do. And the relief that I found today in being honest with myself. No more lies. I don't have to lie about anything anymore. And, just that relief is beyond anything that, I could even compare it to. Because it's funny that me and Shane were talking about me being honest with myself. And it just made me laugh so hard because the thought actually crossed my mind that if I'm going to be honest with myself, I should probably start telling myself the truth. You know?
It's a simple idea.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Like Shane said, lightning, it's all this great thing happened.
Yeah.
And I thought this beam of light would come down and it would be like, oh,
It was.
It happened.
But
you didn't see it.
No, it was more like a Homer Simpson moment, like, no,
My dog Hope was like,
Yeah. It was like, oh my God, like, and that's, it's funny now, but the pain that I had to go through to come to that thought is I have nothing else that I can really tell you that it caused me. The pain that I had to go through to realize that, not only am I the problem, but I'm also the answer. That's, like I watched this other guy that goes live. I think his name's, well, I won't even say his name, but, he was in Europe last time I seen, and he kept saying, okay, yeah, you are the problem, but you're also the medicine that can heal yourself.
mm-hmm.
And that was huge for me. Huge, huge, huge. Is there anything, Shane, that you could tell us a little bit about your truth?
Oh man, just listening to you, I know the authentic, genuine Barry Botone, sober, sane. What you present to everyone you meet today, and just watching you talk and be free and comfortable, it kind of makes me emotional because I can remember when I lived that life and all of the stage characters that I presented to the different groups of people so that I could keep all these arrangements in place that I thought I needed so that I'd be okay, and how exhausting that was to keep up with all the stories and keep the narrative going with everyone. And ultimately, like, it's no surprise that at the end of this deal you end up insane, literally. And for me it was like clinically insane, not just because of the effects of drugs and alcohol, but literally the wear and tear that it does on the human mind and the heart. And so listening to you talk about that and getting to be there when, just to have those conversations that begin with the language of the heart, where two men start having conversations that we're not comfortable having. We start talking about things that out in those other groups we ran with, they aren't common conversation. You don't get vulnerable, and you don't talk about your feelings or what you really think, And I think that's probably the beginning of this journey is ultimately, I think the Creator puts these people in our lives that something gives us that ability to be vulnerable and talk about what's really going on. And I just feel really honored that got to be me when that was happening for you. And because that's really I hate to use the word magic because it sounds like a sleight of hand trick, but what I'm talking about is the fantastic, the incredible, to watch another person have those moments of clarity and years and years of frustration kind of all come together at once, and suddenly what you've been seeking the whole time, you find. And, that took a very long time for me, man. I was in active addiction for about 30 years. And, it all started with, I think about it today, and why do we lie? What are we hiding from? What's really going on in this thing? And I can tell you from a very young age, there was an uncomfortability, uncomfortableness, an awkwardness, an insecurity that was in me from about as long as I can remember. That at the time when you're that young, you can't verbalize it to anybody. And today I know that restlessness and that irritability and that discontentment that's inside of me is really the symptoms of alcoholism. But I didn't have that language back then. And at some point, for me, it was around 10 years old. And it's kind of a funny story, and I tell it all the time because it's significant to me in recognizing the very first time that I poured alcohol on alcoholism. Because, see, I already had it, Sometimes because the word alcohol is in alcoholism, we think that all it has to do with is that I drink too much. And literally we don't understand that until we get here, that alcohol for a long time was the solution for me to that awkwardness I already had, and it worked, And I was sitting at a barn dance in between Turpin, Oklahoma, and Liberal, Kansas, when I was about 10 years old, and there was this my choir teacher's daughter. Her name was Julie Schmidt. Funny, like the alcoholic mind. Like, I remember these things, oh man, she was a 9th grader. I'm 10 years old, and I'm just, and they're in there dancing and having a good time, and I can't participate because, I can sing in the shower and I can dance by myself, but like in this group of people, like suddenly I start looking like Elaine on Seinfeld, like I can't get it together and it's awkward, and I'm out there, and my older brother, God rest his soul, he died from this illness. His friends were sitting in the outside the barn, and they said, "Little Willimon, come over here, man," and they hand me a Coors Light. It was those pull tabs back in the day, man, and my dad drank quite a bit, and so I had sipped on some beers, but this is the first time that I get to and I could chug from like 10 years old, man. Like, I got rid of that thing, and they gave me another one. Instantly, I have found the solution to the problem of Shane in Shane's skin. It goes away, bro. I'm energized, feel lifted up, confident. I walk in there, and with no hesitation, I ask Julie Schmidt to dance, and I've got my hands around her hips, and she's looking down at me, and I spend the rest of that night trying to convince this girl that I could be her man. And I'm going to tell you something. She told me, one day when you get older, maybe we could talk about it, right? Well, shoot, I'm married. Flash forward about 9-10 years. I'm married with a young kid, and I find out that Julie Schmidt is divorced, and I lacked principles and morals at this time, but I had remembered what she said to me when I was 10, and I looked her up. Unfortunately, she was suffering from a pretty bad divorce, and at this time she still wasn't interested. She's off the hook now. I'm happily married. I love you, Jeannie. But yeah, that was the first time, man, that I recognized what alcohol did for me. And what I found out later is that it doesn't do that for normal people that aren't alcoholic. Alcohol is a sedative. And a normal reaction to alcohol is that, hey, there's poison entering my body. I start to feel a little tipsy and a little dizzy, and I say, that's enough. No, thank you. That's not my reaction. I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I don't speak for AA as a whole. And anything that I say during this time, if you can't reconcile it with the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I ask you to disregard it. All of this is based on my experience, and as much as I try to stay close to the literature, because ultimately that truth set me free, some of it I would have to give a little wiggle room on that it might be my interpretation. I was sponsored by some people who stay real close to the literature and are very interested in the history of what happened back when those guys started that thing, because they're very interested in the percentages of recovery that were occurring at that time when the message of Alcoholics Anonymous was so pure. And there weren't a lot of meetings. It was passed around by word of mouth, and there's a lot of stuff that's been diluted and watered down over time, and I don't want to get into that. That's not really my business, but ultimately when it became my time to really seek this solution, man, I wanted to know the truth. Like, show me how I can recover from this. And there was a lot at stake at that time, you know. I could tell you a lot of ugly stories and ridiculous stuff. I was a hopeless crack addict for about 18 years. I didn't pick that up until later in my life, but that accelerated this illness in a way that God bless you if you're out there on that stuff, man. The psychological toll and the demoralization that occurs out of what a person's got to do to fulfill that craving is it's hard to understand. And you know, I grew up in I moved from a little town in Oklahoma to Austin, Texas when my folks split up when I was about 13 years old. And so I went from this little rural community up there in no man's land. I mean, y'all know where the Panhandle is. Like nobody goes there on purpose, right? But I went from the Panhandle to Austin, Texas, and to the northeast side of Austin, Texas. And let's just say it's not a rich neighborhood. And my mom was on her own for the first time, and you know, it was right in the middle of the crack epidemic in 1985 and 86. It hit the streets in there in that side of town, and brother, I can tell you, like, I got to witness what it does to human beings, and good people that you know, lose control of their lives. And I was one of the people. I was in athletics and played football and baseball and mostly in a black neighborhood. And these guys were like, the worst thing that you could ever do would be a dope fiend, right? Like, don't do that. Like, if you go there, bro, you're out, right? And so I was never going to do that, you know. And we were going to smoke weed and do a little ecstasy and some acid and party on the weekends in 6th Street in Austin, Texas. By the time I got in high school, it was like anarchy down there during the club scene and the new wave scene, and we were partying, and it was, you know, Friday night lights and then go downtown, and, you know, what keeps you up all night? Ecstasy. You know, we're partying. The cops are letting you in. It doesn't matter. And you know, if I wasn't an alcoholic and an addict, and that would just been a phase of my life, that I could look back with that and go, man, that was an awesome time. But I really didn't know what it was setting me up for. And I got in a little trouble, and down on 6th Street, and got my first felony charge when I was 17 years old, and you know, me and my buddies were trying to live up to the lyrics in NWA, and so, you know, specialize in ganking, you know, and so I'm out on there. We're snatching gold chains and doing what we got to do, and we got caught, and scholarships down the tube, football, baseball opportunities are gone. I got a second-degree felony for robbery with intent to cause bodily injury at 17 years old. My dad's a very conservative man in Southwest Kansas. He doesn't identify with me anymore. My mom is in active addiction at the time and alcoholism, and God bless her, she couldn't be present, and my brother had just passed away from this illness before that happened, and I mean that senior year was just like a, mom goes to treatment after a suicide attempt, brother dies in October, in January I'm locked up, and it was confusing for a 17-year-old kid who already is in the beginning stages of alcoholism, And I can remember, these are some good points. When Sean died, I wasn't, sorry. When Sean died, I was going to quit. I remember at his memorial I wrote out this poem about drinking and driving, and I was going to give it up, like a tribute sobriety to my brother, and I couldn't pull it off. And 2 weeks later, what I'm really doing now is it's this crazy thing that occurs. Is that not consciously, but now I've got another reason to rationalize my bad behavior anywhere I go. I'm violent. I drink too much. I use too many street drugs. And if that would have happened to you, you do it too. And that made sense to me at the time, And, the rest of my life, like if we flash forward through 30 years, from 17 to 47, there were attempts to stop, and I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous because of that first felony. Part of my deferred adjudicated sentence was that I'd attend 2 AA meetings a week. So that was the first time that I was introduced to AA, and I literally wanted to comply because obviously I didn't want that deferred 6 to turn into mandatory 20. And so I did the best I could to comply and played the system. And it's just interesting that you kind of pick up unintentionally little tidbits and pearls when you walk in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous, not knowing the seriousness of my condition, but kind of forced to be there. And these guys start telling me these truths that we're talking about. And the first one I can remember is this old biker in Liberal, Kansas. You had to walk up to the podium to talk, And, I gather all I walk up to the podium. My name is Shane. I'm an alcoholic. And man, I got this baby on the way, and I got a beautiful wife. And when I whip this alcoholism, I'm going to have life by the short hairs. I think that might be verbatim what I said. And this old biker stood up and just looked at me and said, "Young man, you're never going to whip this shit." Excuse my language. And I didn't know till 30 years later what he meant, man. Like, on your own power, with your own plan, you're never going to beat this. And the unfortunate part of that situation is what we've all learned, is that until I'm ready to hear you tell me the truth, I can't accept it, especially with the alcoholic. And we were talking about this in the car. And, it occurred to me as these guys took me through this book and were showing me the way out, that obviously this disease has something to do with the chemical that I'm putting in my body. This craving that occurs when I put it in me is an unnatural allergy that it doesn't occur in the temperate drinker or the average drug user. that like this thing that we call on the street fiending or jonesing is not 100% across the board, and that feeling that I get is actually an abnormal reaction to that drug, and that's what causes this problem for me, that when I say to myself I'm just going to get a 6-pack and an 8-ball, that I end up 3 days later with my house covered in cans and bottles, and broke as a joke, and haven't slept for 7 days, and I've spent everything I had and emptied all my resources. That's because of this craving that I didn't know I had that, man. I just thought I was a dumbass. Excuse me again. I lack moral fiber.
Yeah.
And so, so that's part of it. I have this mental obsession, this idea that's stuck in my brain that's always focused on the way that the alcohol and the drugs treated me when it worked, which is, it gives me that feeling I got when I got to talk to Julie Schmidt. And even though 30 years later, 4 felonies, 5 treatment centers, been in every county jail I've ever lived in, have no experience that shows me that it's safe to take a drink, my mind presents this idea out of nowhere that like forget what just happened 3 days ago and the last 27 years. That's an anomaly. This time, you're really going to be able to drink like a gentleman. And if anybody saw all those experiences, like alcoholic or non-alcoholic, only my mom knows, God bless you, Mother, it's absurd. The insanity, the links that we go to, the book Alcoholics Anonymous talks about this thing that we don't have, that we're unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force, the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink, right? That thing that happens when you put your hand on a hot stove when you're 4 and you had to do it. What is that red thing? Oh, and you never do that again? I don't have that with alcohol. It's burned me 10,864 times. Yeah. But I'm an aggressive experimenter. Yeah. Maybe really expensive vodka. And Peruvian flake cocaine. We can do that.
Yeah.
Fail, Yeah. So, I feel real blessed that God kept me alive through all those failed attempts, because I've lost a lot of friends that, experiment 3 went wrong. My brother, for instance, he had no idea when we left that party that night that that was going to be the last time I see him, And so I try to believe that there's a purpose behind all that, and whether I'm playing a trick on my own mind or the faith that I have is real, it doesn't seem to matter, because since I've engaged in this process and done what these people told me, the promises they said that were going to happen for me have happened for me. And so I look at the book of Alcoholics Anonymous as a textbook and a lab book. Like, it gives specific, precise instructions on how these people recovered from this disease. And it's like a cookbook, man. You eat your most favorite cake, like the one you bake, right?
Yeah.
It comes out the same every time, Barry. And if you gave me that recipe and I followed it exactly, I'd get that same cake, right? And so that's kind of the same thing with the big book, man. If I follow that recipe, I'll get what those guys got. And I'm just another living example of that's what happened, and I try my best, because I'm so passionate about my brothers and sisters in addiction. That there's so many of them out there that just don't know there's a way out. And thank God for what you guys are doing, because somebody's got to keep them alive until they find out. They're not bad people trying to get good. They're sick people trying to get well. And everybody needs an opportunity to have that thing that we all had, which was somebody lovingly. You know, it wasn't very kind. Some of the guys that were in my life, they told me some truths about me that kind of hurt my last feeling, you know. But I had to accept that, man, that's the truth about me, you know, that perhaps I'm not a victim of my circumstances. Perhaps all of my troubles are of my own making. Perhaps every single thing that I've suffered from, I've set the ball rolling. You know, like, yeah, Sean died and my parents split up and we lived in that neighborhood, but, you know, I've seen a lot of people come out of those situations and do just fine. Perhaps it wasn't those events. Perhaps it was how I reacted to them, you know. Instead of it being something that I use to build my character, I use it as an excuse to destroy my own life. And so I'm glad I get to smile at those things today. And I got an opportunity because of this program to make amends to a lot of people. And today I don't hang my head and I don't have to hide from anybody. And I have good relationships with every member of my family. I have a son in Austin, Texas, who is sober, I think around 2 years now, off of heroin.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I know he's well. We don't talk right now, and I understand why. And my hope is that someday that, you know, we'll find that understanding. Because although we both have the same disease, and I wish nothing more than for both of us to be able to let each other off the hook, I understand that, you know, 10 or 20 years with an active alcoholic would make a skeptic out of anyone. And my little old almost 5 years in March to him is like, we'll see, Pops. And I understand, you know, I understand. But it means a lot for him for him to know that I love him and that I'm wishing him well. And you know, I hope that things can change. So, man, if I say anything else, I'll be repeating myself.
I'm good at that.
And thanks for allowing me a chance to do this, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
We appreciate
I
it.
should
Shane.
shut up now.
Well, I think I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
You know, nothing too hard, I hope.
Too hard.
You
Yeah.
know, well, I understand, you know, we got a clubhouse that we hang out at. Big shout out to the 506.
Whoa,
You know.
yeah.
And got to give a shout out to Cindy. You know, we love you, Cindy.
Love you, Cindy.
know. And through your experience, you know, coming from Austin, enemy territory, and
True. Boomer sooner. Like, you've seen my house.
yeah.
I had to get out of there.
And you know, does the recovery community keep changing, or, you know, do you see a lot of the same processes going on, or?
Oh yeah, man, that's a good question. I need to be careful here. Yeah, it's different, but that's good. You know, for me, I could use any excuse in the world in the early stages to find a way out of doing this. Not to mention, I got a mind that's trying to kill me anyway. So, I don't have to come up with ideas. It's presenting them, you know, like, you know, what I've found is my sponsor in Austin, Texas, God bless you, Don Mabry. Hope your wife's doing well. There's a part of the book, man, and he just like straight comes out the book. Like, this is not my opinion, Shane. And it says something to the effect, and I might be paraphrasing, but it's kind of burned into me. Though you be one man with this book in your hand, you have everything you need to duplicate what we have done. So that means no matter, Shane, where you go, if you've got this book, if you don't like that meeting, you can start your own, right?
Yeah.
And it's no longer like, am I at the mercy of whether or not the fellowship is like the way I liked it? You know?
Yeah.
This is an inside job, you know? Like you and I sitting down together with the big book open, talking about our condition and looking for a solution is Alcoholics Anonymous, you know? And so, yeah, it's different, but it's been good. It's been challenging. It's caused me to use the program because some of it's very disturbing, and that's what it's about for me. It's like, look, man, when you're disturbed, there's something wrong with you, and I got a long way to go, y'all. Like last night, it occurred to me how sick my mind still is, sitting there with my wife, who, like, God bless her, man. She's watched the entire thing materialize, you know, and stood by. And everything that you could say that's negative in a relationship, every single thing that you could say society would tell you to get a divorce over, she and I have done to each other, and by God's grace have walked through that fire and become stronger. And that's because of that program. It showed us what it really means to forgive and love, and like honor those vows you took. Like it did say, in sickness and in health, till death do you part, or until she kills you. And she did some really uncommon things at the end that, you know, my wife's an incredible human being.
Yes, she is.
She, man, she watched how sick I got, and she stood right there. And she did the best thing she ever could for me. Is at some point she realized how sick I was, and that I was beyond human aid, and how much I needed a power greater than myself. And she started telling me, when I would say, screaming in the middle of the night, God, please help me, Jeannie, please help me. She would look me in the eye and say, Shane, there's nothing I can do. And not in a way of malice, man. Like, the truth is, there's nothing I can do. Like, if this God thing is not real, you're a dead man. And what I found out is it's absolutely real. And I still don't know what to call him. I like y'all's name better than anything I've run across, like the great mystery, Maheo. I like that.
Yeah.
See, Shane remembered
that.
it.
Yeah, I like that because I'm steadily trying to figure him out, you know? And all I really understand about the whole thing is that I should pray often, and I should pray sincerely, and I should meet him on that kind of understanding like you and I have, like, hey, God, I really don't know what to call you. I don't know where you're at, but here's the deal. Like, I need your power because there's some stuff I got to do in order to stay sober, and on my own power, I can't do it. And he's provided it every time, you know? And, man, we've got to watch it materialize.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I want to talk about you. Man, this man's sitting in my house. All right. And we're going through this inventory process. And, excuse me, he says, man, I don't know about this, like what are you talking about? Like the freedom, the changing, you know, like there's this dude I think in Clinton, he still owes me $20.
Is that for your phone charger?
Yeah, I don't know if I could let that go.
You're like, man, he took my light up phone charger.
And we're laughing, and I said, man, I remember when it occurred to me, like, I can't bring anything from that life into this new one.
Yeah.
And Barry was like, that was another one of the, none of it?
Yeah.
It don't. Spiritual laws and street laws, they don't
go
mix.
together.
Yeah. You got to let it all go. Bro,
Yeah.
you know, and so.
Yeah, that shortened my list a whole lot.
Check.
Yeah. I had about 4 pages, double columns, like, of everybody that, you know, But you know, it was and it made me real. And he told me, he said, you know, you can't bring that over here and be okay. You can't even go back over there, dab your toes in it, then expect to be okay over here.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. You have to let it all go. You know, and yeah, it shortened my list by 2 or 3 pages, you know, and it was like the real people that, you know, I feel like wronged me, you know, like in one way, one fashion or another. And it wasn't over material things. It wasn't over money. It wasn't, you know, I feel like these people kind of like hurt my soul, I guess you could say, you know.
Yeah, deep scars.
Yeah, deep scarred. And it was him that helped me. You know, we started talking about that truth thing. You know, we started talking about, you know, and it was that going through this process with him that I don't know if anybody else could have helped me in that way. You know, and yeah, it was just part of my process, you know, realizing that I was actually still up. I mean, it was like I'm going out of my way thinking of people that did still owe me money. You know, people that still, you know, stole from me. People that,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
got to balance the sheet, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's crazy. And I like the way you talked about those deep scars, because there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there that have troubles other than alcoholism. And I just want to say this. God's with you. There's a way out. And there's only one way to say this, and it's very matter of fact. If you're alcoholic and you're dealing with trauma, you got to deal with the alcoholism first. Because if you continue to treat the trauma with the alcoholism, you're going to keep the snowball headed towards hell. And so we got to arrest the alcoholism first, and then we can address those scars. And it's hard because it's raw, uncut, no additive or preservative. You don't get to buffer that feeling anymore, but that's where God needs you. He needs you to feel it and let him heal it, you know. And I'll shut up with that.
You know, this is just a small part of what Shane brings to the table every time. You know, he's an amazing guy. You know, I love his family. You know, hope one day to get to meet his son, you know, down in Austin. You know, that's amazing. He's got 2 years. You know, we wish you all.
Love you, Blake Wesley.
Love you all. I mean, wish you all the luck, all the love, everything that you need to help you through that process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's very important, you know, from one addict to another. Is there anything else that you would like to add about what we got coming up here soon?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we got, 3 other people that work for TOR here. Like, I never remember everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I say it to you because you're you're the captain, bro. Like,
No, not really. No.
Yeah.
I just answer
we had to go
emails.
2 days without you. we were,
I had a
We didn't even
podcast
know how
coming
to
up. I
mail
had
a
to
box.
be sick.
yeah, we were struggling.
No.
Okay.
So, like, exciting news in the last episode, we did talk about, you know, we're broke, which is, you know, just typical TOR fashion at this point. We did get awarded a $85,000 grant to address harm reduction issues, which is all going to supplies, whether it be clothing for homeless people, actual harm reduction supplies. We're going to open up some more distribution sites for our stigma-free Narcan pickups, which is like, you know, little mini fridges, just to solidify where people in these small communities can get Narcan. And so we hope to be rolling that out soon. It also does include kind of like campaign materials to influence, I don't know, a community approach to caring for people with substance use disorder. So we'll probably have Harm Reduction Man, Harm Reducer Boy shirts, or Harm Reduction League shirts. Just because that's kind of an organic thing that, like I said, like it started off as a little joke as Harm Reduction Man when we were filling up vending machines, I think. And then now we have people just randomly like, oh my God, it's harm reduction, man. Like, yeah, and we
All
had
excited.
no idea that was going to happen. And so that'll be something that's, like our own cultural shift against, addressing substance use disorder, and like how there's no shame in, caring for people that are in need. And that's why it's kind of always been odd where people kind of turn a blind eye to those that are suffering. Because, I mean, if you see a kid fall off a bike, you're going to, help that kid. But why not an adult that's, that suffered trauma and, poured alcohol on top of alcoholism? And
Sure.
so, yeah. And so that would just be kind of, a little show of support to people that, we're all ears whenever you guys need help. I mean, we have people, walk into our office and just cry and tell us stuff. And then they're like, all right, I feel better now. And then, we'll hear about them later and they're doing well. They're, clean and sober. We've heard, we've saved a lot of our tribal youth from overdoses on accident. So like they've, smoked weed or something and it turned out to be laced with fentanyl. But because of our harm reduction efforts, getting Narcan out there, these lives are saved. And so that's something we take pride in, but we don't, broadcast because it's kind of a weird topic to, say, hey, we saved, this many kids. But it's something that, needs to be known.
Yeah.
It's just, a way to go about it. It's going to kind of a little iffy, but yeah. So, we hope to see some huge progress for this little mini grant, in addressing, substance use disorder in the communities. Domingo, you want to talk about your yoga?
Oh yeah, we all been tuning in. Been doing yoga every Wednesday at 10 to 10:45. So, then shout out to everybody that's been attending, and it's every Wednesday. So, yoga helped me through my recovery of stress and kind of more of just staying healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Also, it's a big thing and helped me meditation. So I like to present that and show it and teach it, and because you'll work your body muscles you never worked before in a while. And the meditation too, kind of like taking that stress off your shoulders, and just take a moment to yourself, because we're everybody's busy. We always got stuff to do, kids, everything, work, businesses. But I like to take that moment just kind of to yourself to kind of close out everything, and bring your your chakras aligned, and we don't want your heart and mind everywhere. Kind of keep it together, keep a whole. So yeah, if, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Just come in and it'll be on live feed, like we do our morning meditations. And yeah, just I love it, so all my yogis.
Hey, Shane, would you like to tell them about these informal gatherings?
Oh yeah. So there's a meeting in Watauga on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. And a little backstory. It's not much to it, but during the pandemic, during COVID, when all the meetings got shut down, my wife and I were desperate to continue to have the fellowship and try to provide something. So on Zoom we started this meeting called These Informal Gatherings, and there's a little page in Bill's story in the big book about what it looked like in the early days, and he talks about it. These informal gatherings, you could see up to 50 to 200 persons, and that we were growing in number and power, and talking about how wonderful the fellowship was and how everybody was helping anybody. It's community, you know what I'm saying? And he talked about how the newcomer could come and find that and find the fellowship they seek, and talk about what's going on with them, with people that understand and that can help them find a way out. So that's the inspiration for this, and Barry and I dreamed about this together, and that was when we talked about what's the dream, Barry. What's it look like? What's in your heart? And you wanted to get sober and be sane and take care of your family and help your community in your tribe. And what's happening?
Yeah.
God heard that,
Mm-hmm.
and man, what a life, And so, yeah, in Watauga at 6 p.m., man, come see us. And it's awkward for everybody. As much as I'm going to tell you to, don't let it be awkward. Just come see us. like, if we had the dope sack and told you to come over, you'd come.
Yeah, for sure.
You wouldn't be tripping on what color I was,
Yeah.
or you just come, you know.
Yeah.
And we got the hope sack now.
Yeah. Hope fiends.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's I like it because it's like a room full of newcomers.
yeah,
And I promise you, if you just give it a chance, you will fit right in.
Yeah.
Surrounding communities, we're trying to get the word out there. That there is a solution. So we would love to see everybody come out. Love to see just the different variety of people that I know that this sickness has affected.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's more than welcome on Tuesday nights from 6 to 7, 203 North South Street in Watonga.
Perfect.
And you want to tell them about the talking circles tonight?
Do I want to talk?
Yeah. Tell them times,
Come to
dates.
1950 South Shepherd every Thursday, 6:30 Smudge, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock is the meeting. Come listen to Barry talk the entire time.
Yeah.
But no, I had a little something to say about the truth that we were talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah,
If you don't
haven't
mind.
finished the
No,
rounds
no,
for
no,
elders
no,
meditation.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
You go
I mean,
right on ahead, sir.
I mean, I know this is a Shane and Barry podcast, but some of us have something to say sometimes.
Man.
But no, just having I was having a conversation with Miss Botone this morning, and we were talking about how sometimes in order to find, you take off this big layer of who you used to be, and I used to know who Barry was, and to see who he is now, it's like I can't even imagine him being the way he was, besides him telling his stories now. So it's amazing to see, but once you shed that layer and you start to find yourself, sometimes that's an overwhelming experience. And you start finding out more and more about who you really are, and sometimes that process is overwhelming. Sometimes it's really stressful, sometimes it causes anxiety. And that's what, a lot of people think that once you get into recovery, like, you don't have stress anymore, you don't have anxiety anymore. And it's like, that's why we push yoga, that's why we push meditation, that's why we try to teach you guys as much as we do about, go to Creator, go to Maheo in the morning and pray that you're going to make it through this next day. And and it was just kind of to think about it the way that we were talking this morning. I was just like, man, that's so true. Was it because even if you're just a person that's just a normal person that's walking in life, and you have all this stuff that's burdening you down, and once you're able to get all that off of you and you start being able to find out who you really are spiritually, mentally and physically, it really changes you as a person, and you could totally be flipped from who you used to be to who you're trying to learn who you are now. And sometimes it's a hard process to learn about yourself, because if you've never really learned about yourself, especially for people that started stuff at like 10 years old, when you don't even really know who you are yet, sometimes, even mentally, you still act like a 10-year-old. So
Don't ever stop.
You wouldn't be you if you didn't do that. No. But seriously, like, to that point, like, there's still people that have, like, they never got to grow up out of that young person mindset. And in order for them to go back and to start learning about themselves, they're going through life all over again. And sometimes it's a really heavy experience.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think we try to provide everybody the tools and the resources to be able to get through that experience and to try to help them as much as we can. And we do it through harm reduction. We do it through life skills. We do it through just being able to talk. And like Darian said, we have people just come into the office. Sometimes we just sit there and listen. We don't even say anything.
Yeah, we gotta get better.
It's just
helping them.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a release for people. And we're doing it now through the gourd dance and bringing people back to the circle, and seeing people come out there that have never done it before, or people that have gone 20 years without doing it, and it's just a process, and from that we see the ones that we influence, and even our little ones start to see, well, this is how they're doing things, this is how, and we're breaking the cycle, even in families and stuff that we don't even know yet, and they see what we're doing, and I think it's pretty dang awesome. Whether some people see that or not, I think it's pretty dang awesome that what we're doing is starting to have that effect. And even the strongest people can go through those days where they feel like they're still bogged down by that old life. And so we try to provide all that in order to make sure that they're going to make it through that day.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, we do kind of do a lot. I keep forgetting how much we do.
Yeah.
Half the time, I'm like, we just give out
we
Narcan.
just got that Narcan machine in Canton.
Oh, yeah. Narcan
So
machine
shout out
number
to
5.
Canton.
Most,
Number 5
yeah,
for the tribe.
most in Oklahoma.
That's huge.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I
we
know
had,
some stuff sometimes.
we did have a lot.
He's my
in
secret
there.
weapon. I was just saving him for the next podcast, but I'm glad he said
for when we
Oh,
didn't have a
okay.
topic. But yeah, we had a lot of first timers at our gourd dance. We have spare gourds, so if anybody ever wants to come out, we actually did get a cedar box donated to us because somebody believed in our cause, and so they just gave us a cedar box that we could fit 5 or 6 gourds at least.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then if
We
anybody
expect
ever
Hawk to come out to every single one
Hawk's
of
now
them.
going to be honorary member.
Yeah.
We're gonna have if anybody
you,
wants
Hawk.
to make
You
like
were there.
bandoliers.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. You were there. You had 3-4 other
were
people
there.
there. Your brothers.
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
Your wife
But
was there.
Yeah, yeah, Mrs.
Our
Bowtone
wives were
herself.
there.
Shout out to Mrs. Bowtone.
Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Is it official?
No.
Did y'all go
Yeah,
to
that was
Vegas
what
or
the
something?
celebration was for.
This July
July
4th.
When it happens in front of the people.
Yeah.
On the res.
I heard it.
But
I heard if a dog soldier says it in front of the people, it's supposed to be real.
well,
Next time on
but you brought up
Break
some
stuff.
good points. We do a lot. It is hard to remember everything that we do because it's like whatever it takes to get to that person that may not even have a phone. May not even be aware of. But I think now, like, our name is out there. We may. Y'all were on Fox 25 this morning. Doing an interview. Having 5 Narcan machines in our communities, that's huge. The list just keeps going and going and going and going, and we're just trying to find all these different avenues to find these people that need this help. And to us, that's like the most important thing, and I feel like we're very passionate about what we do. And to be able to bring on people like Shane, who is out in the community, and I feel like on his own personal level, he helps out quite a few people too. You go to our clubhouse, he's definitely a present and active member in our clubhouse. So very thankful that our paths have crossed. Very fortunate to allow myself to receive the help that was offered. And it's just as important to offer that help to somebody else. So
I think we got to ride this wave. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Healing is as contagious as disease.
oh yeah.
Right? Like if it's something that's that attraction thing, and so it's great what's going on. And
We are pretty attractive.
man, there'll be a calendar when there's 12 of us.
We got a request for that,
We literally
actually.
got
Yeah.
asked to do a calendar.
Yeah, we had
And
when
DOA.
an elder in Clinton was
Speaking
like,
of
"You
that,
guys."
Diego, you're June.
Yeah, we had a request for us to pose as firefighters as a calendar. And the elder was like, "Yeah, I'll put it on my walker and everything." Like, oh, that's the best thing. So maybe we'll have a calendar. Who knows? But Oh, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most ridiculous calendar
That
you've ever
Buffalo
seen.
Road.
Yeah. Just burying a buffalo road. That's it.
Oh, Narcan.
Maybe a
laying out.
bandolier.
These aren't spiritual visions.
Hey, I'm married now.
That's awesome. Okay.
Sandra, are you?
No.
Yeah. When you record that part.
Yeah.
But well, I just want to thank everyone for coming through. You know, Shane,
Absolutely.
Thank you
always a
guys for
pleasure,
having me.
brother.
coming.
Always
Appreciate
a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah, I love you guys, man. This is awesome.
When I seen that we had this opportunity, I thought, you know, for sure the first person I would like to share their experience, strength, and hope. You know, you were the first person that came to mind.
Thank you, Barry.
You know, so you know, big shout out 506 to Cindy. We love you, Cindy. And you know, I guess it's time to wrap it up. Get a
Speaking of wrapping it up, snag boxes.
Yeah, snag
Snag
bags.
bags.
Oh.
Snag bags,
What are we
Valentine's
doing?
Day.
What are we saying?
not-
Podcast.
not snag bag.
But I'm married.
Well, we're married.
Well,
That was
on our page, if you are looking for a snag bag, you can go to our page, fill out the job form, or if, the college safe boxes, or if you just want supplies, harm reduction supplies. We've mailed over 200 packages, and we've reached. We sent one to Canada.
Yeah, we've hit, 10, 15 states.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to,
I'm pretty sure
color them all in.
everybody in Michigan has something.
yeah, the University of Michigan is just crushing it right now. Like, they're getting a lot. We're reaching into Haskell. We're trying to get. We had the dean of a college
Dean,
actually
yeah,
order a
dean.
box just for his
Yeah.
kids.
We got Montana.
Yeah, Montana this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, lots of different tribes, lots of different areas, and so, we'll see where we can go next.
Great resource.
Mhm.
Great resource.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mingo says, "Don't ruin anybody's summer."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
what he
don't
said.
anybody's summer.
Well, I guess that's it.
Sweet.
Thank you for tuning in. We want to thank all of our listeners.
Yep.
It's always a pleasure to be able to come out and serve our community. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who tunes in. If you could, like, share, and
Comment.
comment.
Send
Post.
questions.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
like
have
we
something
would love
you want
to
us
hear.
to talk about?
Yeah,
We
send
would
us
love to
topics.
hear from y'all. And it's always a pleasure. So thank you.
Uh-huh.
Aho.
Good on you.
Oh.
Oh.